Megan is Missing has a reputation for being truly disturbing, but the reality is 90% of it is boring. The only reason people remember this movie is the last 22 minutes. And even that feels like it's daring you to turn it off rather than scare you. It was marketed as a cautionary tale about the dangers of speaking to strangers online. And on paper, that sounds like a great idea. But what if I told you that the movie that tries so hard to scare you straight is actually just bad? Not bad in the fun, cheesy B-movie kind of way. Bad in the boring, exploitative, and missing its own point kind of way. Today, we're going to pull this thing apart piece by piece and try to figure out how a film with such a noble intention managed to crash and burn this hard. Welcome to the disturbing or disgusting breakdown of Megan is Missing. In theory, the concept makes sense. Writer-director Michael Goy wasn't chasing Hollywood fame and fortune. He just wanted to make a PSA about online predators disguised as a horror film. He said he was tired of seeing real tragedies about children turned into shocking news filler between weather updates. He wanted parents and teens to feel the reality of online predators, to look that danger right in the eye and never forget it. The plan was simple. Just strip away all the Hollywood polish, no spooky music cues, no suspenseful cutaways, no flickering light bulbs. Instead, he'd hit the audience with stark, unblinking realism. The camera wouldn't flinch, and neither could the audience. Naturally, he chose the found footage format, webcams, camcorders, grainy security footage, because it felt intimate and invasive, like you were actually there. And since no studio would take a chance on it, Goy paid for it himself. He shelled out 35 grand and shot the entire movie in roughly a week. It's a bold mission, but a bold mission does not always equal a good movie. And Megan is Missing proves that good intentions can still pave the way to cinematic hell. To understand what Goy was going for, you have to remember that this was the mid-2000s. Facebook was still mainly for college kids. MySpace was king, and chat rooms were basically the wild, wild west. Your parents didn't understand the internet well enough to tell you how to stay safe. All they had were vague warnings like, don't give strangers on the internet our address. And then they would leave you for hours at a time unsupervised on Yahoo Messenger. Online predators were making headlines on shows like Dateline, showing up on To Catch a Predator. This was the cultural soup that Megan is Missing comes from. The idea of a movie capturing that fear and making it feel real, totally plausible. The execution? That's what we're here to discuss. So storytelling 101. If you want the gut punch to hit hard, you have to make people care about the character who's getting hit. And this is, in a nutshell, Megan is Missing's biggest failure. The first hour isn't scary. It is intense. And as I'm saying that out loud, it's hitting my ears in a way where you might have interpreted that as me saying it's intense. That's not what I said. That's almost the opposite of what I said. What I said was it isn't tense, meaning it's a snooze fest. We spend this hour watching 14-year-old Megan and her best friend Amy through awkward webcam chats and painfully long party videos. Megan is the stereotypical wild one. She drinks, she does drugs, she fights with her mom. Amy, on the other hand, is the quiet, conservative friend who's mostly just there to observe. Goy says he transcribed real teen conversations to make the dialogue sound authentic. But unfortunately, in this case, authentic does not equal compelling. These conversations are repetitive and stilted. It's like listening to a bad improv class warm up. The film starts hammering Megan's bad girl traits so relentlessly that it stops feeling like character development and starts feeling kind of like a sermon. And when you're making a cautionary tale, that tone starts creeping dangerously close to victim blaming, like her eventual fate is a punishment instead of a crime. Here's the thing, victim blaming isn't always loud and obvious. Sometimes it just gets baked into the way that we frame our characters. By painting Megan as reckless and Amy as pure, the movie sets up a moral contrast that sounds like a PSA from the 1950s. Good girls stay safe. Bad girls get abducted, murdered, and stuffed into a barrel. And this isn't just outdated thinking. This actively undermines the entire supposed message. Because here's the ugly truth. Online predators don't care if you are a good girl or a bad girl. They exploit vulnerability and not morality. Framing Megan's fate as inevitable because she drank and went to some parties sends the wrong message entirely. And if your warning message blames the victim more than the perpetrator, you've already driven this thing off in the ditch. So that's the first hour of this movie. And then, without any warning, Megan is Missing slams on the gas. The last 22 minutes are all anyone talks about when they refer to this movie. Megan meets her online friend in person and disappears. Amy searches for her and winds up falling into the exact same trap. What follows is an unflinching, relentless series of abduction, torture, and sexual abuse. Goy promised to show the grim reality of these crimes, and here he definitely does. No clever editing, no off-camera implications. The camera just stares. The most infamous part, the part that broke everyone on TikTok, is the photo number 1 moment. It's a literal on-screen warning before the final descent. It's supposed to give viewers one last chance to bail. But for me, and probably for you, because you're probably a sick freak like I am, it really feels more like a dare to keep watching. In my opinion, this is where the film's supposed intention collapses completely. The finale is so brutal and so unrelenting that it swallows the entire message. Yes, people who watch it are horrified. Yes, there are tons of videos of people on TikTok crying about it, but the extremity of the violence turns the intended message into just background noise. The entire conversation becomes, did you see that ending? Rather than, wow, maybe we should have a serious discussion with our kids about talking to strangers on the internet. This has crossed over the line between cautionary tale and what critics would refer to as torture porn. If the audience walks away remembering the brutality more than the message, you probably did not make the movie you thought you were making. If it's just suffering for suffering's sake, then you're not educating, you're sensationalizing. In Megan is Missing, we never get anything that grounds us to the girls emotionally. And without that, the violence feels voyeuristic, not tragic. And that's really the fatal flaw. There's two halves that actively sabotage each other. The first hour gives us cardboard characters and worthless filler scenes that drain us of any emotional connection. The last 20 minutes drop a truckload of violence on us with nothing to anchor it. There's no bridge, there's no build-up, just a whiplash shift from bland teen drama to total nightmare. And without any characters that we actually care about, the brutality has no weight emotionally. A truly effective cautionary tale makes you think, that could be me. That could be someone I love. It builds empathy first, then tension, then dread. And by the time the bad thing happens, you actually feel it. Megan is Missing skips the empathy part completely and expects the dread to just work all on its own. And spoiler alert, it doesn't. And that's a shame, because the idea, teaching teens about online safety, is actually important. But the execution is also important. So in conclusion, Megan is Missing came from a genuine place of concern. Michael Goy wanted to shake parents and teens awake about online safety. But instead of creating something tense, relatable, and haunting, he made a film that's equal parts tedious and traumatizing. Its legacy isn't effective education, it's just that movie from TikTok, the one with that ending. By giving us an opening that's a slog and a finale that's pure shock therapy, it undercuts its own message. In trying to be real, it somehow became both boring and unbearable. It's a PSA that screams at you without ever giving you a reason to listen. And if there's any takeaway from this mess, it's this. If you want your warning to actually land, you have to give people a reason to care first. Megan is Missing never does, and no amount of screaming can fix that. So here we are at the end of the video, and I want to hear from you. What are you guys' thoughts about this movie? Let me know down in the comments. Am I being too hard on it? I'd love to hear your take. Either way, thanks for joining me here on this deep dive. YouTube is recommending one of my videos for you to watch next, somewhere over in this area here. Hopefully it's one that I enjoyed more than this one. Why not check that one out? Unless you're scared, which is fine. If you're too chicken to click on it, I get it. Either way, I'll hopefully see you guys next time.